everyone. Welcome to another session of Let's Be Connected. Let's Be Connected is our newest program, which has for objective the opening of a platform which is going to enable students, prospective students, current students, as well as alumni students to connect with officers from the university as well as lecturers. And without any further ado, I'm going to introduce today's guest, the Honorable Associate Professor Dr. Nur KÖPRÜLÜ, the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Economics and Administrative Sciences, and the Head of the Department of Political Science. Dear Professor, welcome.
Thank you very much, dear Shema. It's nice to see you, virtually as well.
It's the same, Professor. The pleasure is shared. Thank you for having accepted our invitation for today's session. So, how have you been?
Well, it's my pleasure, actually, also to host you, let's say, in my house. Well, despite the fact that we had actually very extraordinary times, like the whole world, but I think we get used to this lifestyle. And nearest university, I think, is on the top of the list in terms of coping with this crisis and providing this digital platform for the students for their education. So I'm very happy to see that for those students who are about to graduate by the end of spring semester 2019 and 2020, now after finalizing their courses online, they will be going to have the chance to graduate by the end of the semester. And we are at the end of spring semester, and we also have that, the excitement inside our hearts that we will be going to say goodbye to some students, but at the same time, we will going to welcome the new ones.
Definitely. It's a bittersweet moment that we are currently living in, like you said. So again, I would like to thank you so much to have accepted our invitation. It's a great honor to have you here, especially someone of your expertise when it comes to political science, as well as your title of Vice Dean for the faculty. So without any further ado, if you will allow me to start with some questions so that we can quick start today's discussion.
Absolutely, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm sure that you have a lot of students who admire you, but still, since many of our viewers are going to be prospective students, can you introduce yourself a little bit? And also, for example, how did you come to Nearest University? What has led you to this institution?
Yeah, thank you very much, and I'm very happy to be here, actually. And I think I have two families, and my other family is definitely the university and my faculty, I need to say, because I'm very happy that I'm working with that distinguished academics and very helpful colleagues that after working in several other institutions, I need to say that it's not very easy to find out such kind of a warm environment to work. And in that respect, I need to touch the wood that we are working in harmony. In general, I did my PhD in international relations, but specifically on Middle East politics in Middle East Technical University in Ankara, Turkey. So for a while, I lived in Ankara for my master's and my PhD degrees. Then I wrote my dissertation specifically on Middle East politics. And basically, I need to say Palestine and Jordan. And I started to academically work on democratization. Our audience, most of them are students, I know. If they hear about, the Arab uprisings, what's going on in the region, Syria, Palestine, it's all, falling under my expertise. I'm trying my best to work and research on these subjects. And then I also worked, or let's say, stayed in Queen Mary University of London for a while for my research. Then I also visited several institutions, but for the last 7 years, I'm working in Nearest University in the Faculty of Economics and Administrative Sciences. And I think for the last 4 years, I'm also serving the head of the political science department.
Very, very impressive parkour. Thank you so much for such an answer. I think it's giving our audience an overview of what kind of expertise they are to expect when it comes to faculty members of nearest university, especially the Faculty of Economics and Administrative Sciences. Again, I have to say it again. It's a very impressive parkour. So, given that you have already mentioned that you are the head of political sciences for the past 4 years now at the faculty. Maybe we can jump directly to the department of political sciences. So, under the general question of what does the program of political science cover, can we start by maybe getting an overview of the academic content when it comes to the courses and the credits, etc., so that we can have a first overview of the department, please?
Yeah, thank you very much. You actually also hosted our dean, Professor Dr. Şerife Eyüboğlu, approximately 2 weeks ago, and I also had the chance to watch that broadcasting, and she actually gave very detailed information about the faculty itself. And as she also mentioned, actually our faculty is running 13 different departments, and then 25 different undergraduate programs, because some of these programs are conducted in English, but some of them they are also conducted in Turkish. So in total, we are running actually 25 undergraduate programs. And the academic staff that are actually working for the faculty, we all together actually running 12 master's programs and 5 PhD programs. In terms of the political science, which is one of the programs under the Faculty of Economics and Administrative Sciences, we have also a master's program, and we also have a PhD program. And I need to say that our PhD program is run by International Relations Department, because political science and international relations, also public administration, actually we are sisters, let's say sister departments. And we are lucky to offer for the international students worldwide that nearest university is also offering 3 different undergraduate programs: IR, political science, and public administration, because in some universities there are joint programs. But our PhD program is a joint one, because we believe in that. While we were preparing this program, I had the opportunity also to work in that team while this PhD program was actually under the preparation. And we wanted to actually, bring our strength together and to work together to be a very powerful, one of the powerful, let's say, PhD programs in our university. And I'm very happy also to say that we also started to have our graduates, and our graduates, not just from the undergraduate, but also from the graduate programs. Now they started to also work in different well-known universities all around the world. So we actually proud of our graduates, as I said, both undergraduate and graduate. If I need to go back to the political science as a separate, let's say, discipline, well, actually, in social sciences, we have all these discussions that how we can, separate political science from international relations or public administration, for instance. I need to say that from the beginning, political science actually is all about our lives, because it's all about politics. If I need to say, especially for the prospective students, you hear many news from the TVs. You also, follow journals. You also follow magazines. There are so many, broadcasting corporation that we follow. They mention about Brexit, for instance, for a while. Why United Kingdom wanted to withdraw from the European Union membership. I mean, most of these students, they want to become the member of the EU, but UK wants to withdraw. COVID-19, for instance. COVID-19 has also political implications. We also started to think about what will be the politically global effects of COVID-19. and how the governments are prepared for this, pandemic or not. I can also give you the example of what's going on, as I just said previously, in Palestine, in Syria, in Iraq, after the Arab uprisings. Is it really Arab Spring or Arab Autumn or Winter? Democracy, how we can define democracies in these countries. What about political ideologies? Do they differ, from one country to another, and why? Political science is actually a degree that if you, let's say, get this degree from the political science department in nearest university, you will going to have the domestic, the chance, the opportunity to have domestic and actually global career in governments, in education, in media, and business and beyond. So it doesn't mean that you will going to be politician, but you may work, for instance, in NGOs, think tank organizations, and as I just mentioned, in media. And some of the graduates, they easily become political, either officers or consultants. So they can also work in a wide range of, I think, profile. So they can work in public sector, but also they can work in private sector as well, including international organizations like United Nations, the EU, or African Union, if we have students from Africa that they are listening us, or ECOWAS. So when you graduate from the political science department, you will graduate with these skills needed to analyze and make sense of our ever-changing world, because everything is changing. We all say that we are globalizing, but we should know what is actually globalizing, because we all at the same time have regionalism. So how we can have these discussions? Our program is designed to give students a well-structured academic formation, theoretical formation, and in the first year, they also take similar common courses with those students who are also enrolled in international relations and public administration, like sociology, introduction to law, economics, because without knowing economics, understanding the government policies will not be possible, as you can imagine. And political science is an interdisciplinary subject, actually, because we are also benefited from sociology, and we need to also know how to use, law, and also, as I just said, we should know economics, at least macro and micro. Other than this, we also provide these students academic writing and academic communication courses, which would help them to express themselves, because you need to use English or Turkish or any other language, not just in terms of speaking, but you should also write these languages fluently in terms of writing as well. This is also very important for a political science student. So when the students, they become second year, then we will start to give them their department courses. So when students, they are in the political science department, they will start to feel themselves that, I am studying politics in the second year of the class, because we give them political thoughts, for all those political philosophers that they thought about the world before. Why do we need state? Why do we need government? What the government is for? And then we also provide them courses like research methods, because research and methodology is very important in all disciplines, actually, not just in political science, but theory is on the one hand and methodology is on the other. And when you have the subject matter, then you talk about a discipline. So we are actually trying to provide these students in the first and the second year this theoretical background and also the methodological formation. When they become third year, then they started to take actually more specific courses like comparative politics, how they can compare British, let's say, political system from the United States, or how we can differentiate, for instance, a parliamentarian system from a presidential one, or how we can define democracies, or how we can define let's say, different type of regimes. Then we also offer students courses like political psychology. We offer students courses like international organizations, international politics, which will also enable them to learn about also the role of the states in the international system. So in general, political science department discipline covers political thought, comparative politics, ideas and ideologies, government and institutions, civil society and interest groups, and comparative politics. And I am very also happy to say that when they become fourth-year students, by the way, I need to also mention that political science students, they also take public finance, because public finance is one of the core courses of the department that we actually take it from the Department of Economics. But when they become the fourth-year student, I'm very happy to say that we are providing them a wide range of elective courses, because our academic staff is, in terms of teaching different electives, actually we are so lucky, because we have that academic staff that are they have expertise, they are specialized in certain areas. For instance, we have academic who is specialized on European integration and the politics of the EU and the EU member states. We have academics studying political theory. We have academics studying post-Soviet republics. We have academics also studying interest groups and lobbying, Cyprus politics, energy issue, you know, geopolitics of energy, energy security, security in general, Middle East politics, democracy, and then nationalism and ethnic conflict. So these are actually the elective courses that just came to my mind at the first sight that we offer for our students. So, and also political reconciliation and political communication. These are elective courses that we do offer, actually different courses each semester, in order to create a wide range and profile for the students to choose. But I need to say that students, they can also take elective courses from the other departments of the faculty. And as you all know, our university's policy is also trying to open the door for all of the students to also enroll in certain, you know, technical areas as well. Like a political science student would like to take a course from communications faculty, and we also provide this chance, because if we work together and if we coordinate our you know, activities together, this will going to make our actually power more powerful, let's say. So we actually work in harmony with other faculties, that actually we can work. Because I gave the example of the communications faculty, for instance, because our students can also take courses from this faculty. So in that respect, those courses that are, for instance, offered by Public Administration Department or International Relations Department or Marketing Department, the students, they will going to, after consulting their course advisors, of course, they can take these courses, because it's also very important that maybe it's just time to mention, we also have course advisors for all the students in the whole university, that these course advisors or the academic advisors, they are trying their best to guide these students to take especially the appropriate courses for their academic formation.
Thank you so much for your very instructive answer. I think this gives a very detailed overview on what a student, a prospective student, can expect from point A when he's joining the university until point Z when he is about to graduate. So basically, to sum up, I hope that I'm going to sum it up correctly. So students, prospective students, they apply, they come here, they apply to the political science department, they come here, they in the first year, they are going to be having a combination of interdisciplinary courses, as well as some core courses for political science. And as from the second year and third year, they start feeling as purely political science students, because then they become more aware and exposed to courses that are concerning politics, whether it's national, regional or international politics, so they are more exposed to such courses. And then by the time they reach their fourth year, they are then more aware and more educated when it comes to politics as a subject, as a matter. But they still have the opportunity to explore some other, for example, maybe if they have some specific inclinations towards some particular matter. For example, you mentioned about Middle East politics or comparative politics, or some other elective courses if they wish. For example, they want
European
to go
politics.
towards some. Exactly. Or if they want to do something that is related to their region where they come from, for example, they still have this opportunity. So I think this is a perfect overview of someone who is now at the point where they are about to graduate high school, or they have graduated high school, and they are looking into social science departments, and if they are interested with politics. I think you made it very clear that if they want to go for it, they should definitely go for it at our university.
And reminded me one important thing, that for the probably last 4 or 5 years, we also started to update our curriculum. Actually, year by year, we are updating our curriculum, but specifically for those departments like IR and political science, we update in terms of the regions that we teach. For instance, in the beginning, maybe we can put more emphasis on Cyprus politics and Turkish foreign policy, but now we have very large amount of our students. They're from Africa and also Central Asia and other countries. So we need to also add, for instance, given that I'm teaching international organizations, I'm not just teaching UN, European Union, or IMF, but I need to also add African Union, ECOWAS, Commonwealth of Independent States, Arab League into my curriculum, because the students would like to also know and learn about their regions.
Definitely. And also after that, go and give back their input into their own regions and countries, which is something a very important aspect, especially if you're leaving your country and you're going to study abroad and you want to bring back what you have now. It's to kind of counter brain drain, if we may say, in their own countries. So thank you once again. Before moving to the other question, maybe we can also touch upon the extracurricular, because we have talked about the curriculum, the very core of it. Maybe you can also give us some overview about the extracurricular activities. Do we have any in the faculty or specific to the political science department?
Well, it's an excellent question, because not just the department, but our faculty in this respect is really working very hard. And given that from its name, the Faculty of Economics and Administrative Sciences, and all the programs under this faculty, actually, you need to know the day-to-day life, what's going on, outside the classroom. And in order to fill that gap, because if you just give the students the theory, Shema, all the universities actually in the world, they may give their students the theoretical formation. We need to do something more to these students, because you should prepare them for the, for the life after 4 years or after the master's degree. I mean, you should try your best to give them what you can actually provide. And considering that we are living in Cyprus, I think this is also an advantageous. I mean, we have a very advantageous location of Cyprus in terms of the world affairs. For instance, if I need to give an example from our department, we basically organize fieldworks to different places. We bring these students to parliament. We bring these students to different fieldworks. For instance, we paid visit to European Union Information Point. They had their fieldwork there. They had the chance to listen to seminars different times. And they also had the time to, talk with the people who are already in the field. Because when you're just teaching the theoretical formation, that I believe that it is absolutely necessary, but you should also help the students to also observe how the field is also working in that particular subject. We also organize visits to, for instance, there is a buffer zone in Nicosia, and then to show the students actually what the United Nations is acting in the Cyprus question. Because you can talk about the UN, what the UN why the UN is established, and also what the UN is for. But if you bring the students and imagine that they are from different parts of the world, they started to also learn about Cyprus politics in detail, and also the United Nations in practice. Then you can also have, discussions about the role, so they may have the chance also to criticize, to have a critical point of view, not just to learn, absorb, memorize, and then after some time, for instance, forget. So I think fieldwork in our disciplines is necessary, is not a luxury. I think it is absolutely necessary. Another thing is that I need to mention, we try our best to organize roundtable discussions. We invite guest speakers to our university, and also specifically to our faculty, in order to help them to see the people from the field. For instance, a former diplomat, a retired diplomats. They had different times visited our university and faculty. We also had the chance to have visiting academic researcher, for instance, in February from Canada, from York University. She tried her best to share her expertise with our undergraduate and also PhD students. We had different seminars with her. And then, there are countless of other seminars that actually we organize, and we try our best not just to invite academics, but also people directly from the field, in order to help the students to see what are the job opportunities and how they can also prepare themselves for their careers. Journalists, politicians, they all actually had the chance from different ideological wing. They had the chance to come and talk, so the students also have the chance to have dialogue. And we also, of course, organize conferences, academic conferences, that our students, they join us, and they also had the chance to work as assistants during these conferences. Because when you organize an international conference or a regional conference, you need to actually work as a team. So in order to guide these students how they can work with the team spirit, we all think with my colleagues that that's the best way to organize an activity together, and also, to share the same expectations and face with the same obstacles, but know how to cope with these obstacles. At the end of the day, you share the proud together.
Thank you so much once again. I think all of your answers so far, and the ones who will come, they are going to all be very instructive. Actually, as someone from the same academic background, I can indeed say that yes, I did go through all of what you mentioned personally. So I did get the chance to visit when I was doing my undergraduate. I did get the chance to visit the buffer zone, so I perfectly know what you're talking about. This aspect of not only learning while listening and hearing, but also having the opportunity of learning while seeing and observing. This is a very, very important, it's a very important aspect when it comes to tertiary education in general. For other departments, yes, if it's applicable, of course, it's going to be a plus, but definitely for the Faculty of Economics and Administrative Sciences and all the departments that are under, such as international relations or political science, as you're mentioning, I think it is something that is indeed a very big opportunity and an advantage that we are in Cyprus, and we do have a local United Nations body here, and we do have the opportunity to go there with our experts, our professors and the faculty staff. So Again, very nice, very nice overview. Thank you. So I think you have mentioned everything when it comes to curricula as well as extracurricular aspects of the program. So now maybe we can move to the classroom. What about in the classroom? For example, let's say there is a student now. He or she is in the classroom. What can he expect when it comes to the assessment methods? How will he be assessed in class?
Oh, well, when we come to the assessment, actually, we all have, in the undergraduate programs, we all have final exams. Some of the courses, they also have midterm examinations as the part of the assessment criteria. But we are actually not just grading the students with the exams. Because as I just said, students need to also express themselves. These students need to also show their critical thinking skills, at the same time their analytical skills. In order to give these students this opportunity, we need to offer actually different assessment methods. And one of them can be, for instance, that I time to time use is presentations on a specific topic with respect to, of course, the curriculum of the course, and also trying to guide the student to provide as much as he or she can contribute to the field. So he can or she can prepare a presentation which is grasping, the literature, but also trying to find out what could be done, as a part of maybe recommendation. Another part of assessment, I think, in political science can also be stated is debate, because you need to express your ideas. You feel yourself to belong to an ideological group, or you may have an idea to claim, but you need to claim this idea or argument with supporting arguments. And this is what we are actually trying to teach the students as much as we can, not just in our department, but as a whole. You may have an argument or you may have an idea, but the most important thing is, first of all, know as much as you can learn about that particular topic, and then try to find out what are the supporting arguments in order to help you to claim that argument. So this is very important, and you can see students, they are well prepared for the debates. We also organize, I think, 2 or 3 debates in the last 2 years in the faculty, that students let's say choose a topic, and they also split it into 2 groups, and they were debating with one another. And of course, at the end of the day, one of them becomes more, let's say, powerful than the other in terms of showing their arguments. I think this is a very significant assessment method. Other than that, as I just mentioned, we also use these fieldworks for report writing. So after visiting the European Union Information Office, and what we have already, given there, taught there, I ask, for instance, students to report, of course, also showing how they can also write a report. I expect them to write report based on their observations. So this would be also very helpful for them when they graduate. Maybe some of them will work in government offices or in political offices. They may going to be asked to write a report or a policy briefing, for instance. So it would be so interesting. Another example can be article analysis that we basically use in political science department. The students, they need to also overview academically what has been already written about that particular subject, and also should have the capability and the skills to evaluate what has been already said. And I think this is very important if you need to contribute to the field. If you want to say something new, you need to know actually what have already been said with respect to that particular subject. So article analysis is one of the main methods probably that we also use in political science department entirely. I think these are, the most, let's say, in terms of ranking, at the top of the list that we use. Assignments, I didn't mention about it, but definitely we also give assignments, projects to students to write, but with references. And of course, it should be well structured, and then should comply with all the academic rules, for sure.
Definitely, definitely. This is the main aspect of the faculty, if not departments such as political science. For example, this is very crucial it's at the very base of all research, definitely. And yes, thank you so much for having told us. You basically mentioned that yes, there are the conventional methods such as exams and assignments, but you gave such a vast array of examples of extra assessment methods, which are quite, if I may say, adapted to the Department of Political Science. So this is indeed a plus. So we talked about how students can be assessed. Maybe if we turn the perspective around, what about the students now? If we put ourselves in the shoes of the students, how can they better understand what they are? For example, if it's article analysis, what are some tricks or some hints that they can apply to better understand or to trigger a better analysis of whatever they are reading?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, each instructor, from the beginning of the course, when we distribute our syllabuses, we actually show the students what we expect from them. And I think this is very important, because before giving an assignment or any assessment, you need to inform the student and guide the student to let them know what you're expecting. But of course, there are certain data that we also, let's say, the common data or the common procedure that we also use. For instance, for a presentation, for an assignment writing, there are certain, actually, at least at the minimum level, there are certain procedures or the rules that the students are expected to give. But if there is anything extra that you expect from the students, I think we are doing in that respect a very good work, because before giving them the homeworks or the presentations or any assessment for any work for assessment, we actually let them know. And we have an open door policy. I mean, just before the COVID-19 pandemic, but now via online courses, and also with the office hours online, and also through the distance learning center, we actually all in touch with our students, plus emailing. So like the name of this actually session, we are always, let's say, be connected with each other, so they have this opportunity to ask. But as I said, from the beginning, we actually share with the students. But in order to write a very good assignment or a very good work, to prepare a very good work, actually there are certain things that you need to follow. If it's an academic work, but we are here talking about, of course, academy. If you are writing an academic work, one of the most important thing actually is to have a clear research objective and a clear methodology. If you are using a theory, you need to justify why you are using that theoretical framework. And no doubt, there should be you should use citation. This is very, very important, that we basically let the students know before we ask them to submit their papers.
Definitely, that's very it's very thoughtful actually to include it in the syllabus as well, because students then they already have a prescription of what is expected from them. So basically, they have a list of instructions to guide them throughout the program, so that they don't get taken by surprise. For example,
absolutely,
in the middle of the academic year or right before an exam, they don't have they are not exposed to such situations whereby then they have to say, oh, but I didn't know, oh, but what do I do now, etc. So it's very, very nice to hear that this is being done at the department, and I'm sure it's being done overall in the Faculty of Economics and Administrative Sciences as well. You did mention about the open door policy, so let's talk about that. Students, then, it means that students are, they have the ability to reach out to faculty members for help at any time. Can you maybe just give us a brief, some brief information about how this works? How can students contact you, and when, for example, can they contact you?
Well, actually, this is a university policy that each academic has actually office hour. So they can learn our office hours, directly from the beginning of the semester. And they can find us specifically that hour for student questions and inquiries. This can be, anything related with their courses, to get more information, or for registration, or I have, for instance, so many students coming and asking their future career plans. Especially the fourth-year students, they use office hours for this particular purpose. No need to mention that students, they also they join us during the office hours as a part of this open door policy to consult with respect to their questions regarding the course that they are taking. And also, I need to say that we also have student clubs. And we have also, our faculty has also a student club, and students come and consult with us in terms of their future activities. They get ideas, and we try our best to help them to organize their activities. And as I just said, we also organize seminars and also conferences, and we also get together with the students to have brainstorming about these activities forthcoming. So actually, all our day is, we are so happy that all our day is actually, with these students, either in the classroom or outside the classroom. It's a lively faculty, as the other faculties.
Definitely, definitely. I think that students, prospective students, as well as current students, they got the message that they are welcome to ask for any help or any extra information that they need. So students are not just compelled. For example, they are done with one class, and then the next class is maybe after a few days or after 1 week. They are not compelled to wait for that long to get the insight that they need. And this is something very, very advantageous when it comes to the university life or tertiary education in general. So thank you again for your question. Yes?
For instance, I have seen some of my students actually from undergraduate and graduate that they are actually greeting us. I need to say that we also separate specific time for our masters and the PhD students, because they are writing their theses and they need, academic guidance. And I need to say that we are actually enjoying with this, because it's also, in a way, creates new areas for us for studying.
Definitely,
thinking about, they bring inspiring ideas, and we have brainstorming.
Exactly. We see it's very clear that it's a bilateral relationship and input and output that goes on between students and the faculty. I'm sure that you are a very great advocate. You're being a very great advocate of the political science department right now, as well as the faculty. And yes, so many, definitely, Professor. So we see that there are so many current students or graduate students as well. They are here. They are waving at us. So thank you guys for watching us. And we have prospective students as well who are watching us right now, as we see from the comments. So this in itself is a proof how much the students have learned from you, from those who have graduated or those who are current students, how much they appreciate you and how much they honor you. So it is only another proof for those who do not know you or who do not know our university, to see that indeed there are fellow students who are showcasing their appreciation to our honorable guests today. So hello everyone. So yes, we'll move to the next question now. What about summer training programs? We know that many faculties and departments they have summer training programs. So what about the political science department or maybe some other department in the faculty? Do we have prescribed summer training programs, or if we do not have, does a student have the opportunity to still explore that way if they wish to do so?
Right. In political science department, it's not compulsory, but it becomes like a tradition that during the summertime, students, they come and consult in which areas they can actually work, or work like as a trainee. So we actually try our best to guide them, but I need to say that it's based on voluntary. It's not compulsory. So if they need to actually have expertise in government, in parliament, and also in different NGOs, we actually help them to find out these places. If they want to stay, for example, in Cyprus, we also use our contacts if we could, and then we actually try to help them. Some of them, they also actually work as a volunteer in their own countries. And I think this is very important because although it's not compulsory, but it will definitely help the students to actually develop, improve their professional capabilities.
Very, very beautifully put indeed, because if it is voluntary, it doesn't mean that it is less significant as something that is compulsory. Very beautifully put. I hope that prospective students, as well as those current students who are still doing their university years and have yet to for example, to complete 1 year or 2 years, they can still contact the faculty and ask for any advice, if I'm not wrong, correct? When it comes to
right, because what makes the political science actually department in that respect, let's say, different, because it's not just specialized in just one area. The students, they have wide range of possibilities, different job opportunities actually to work. So in that sense, we talk with the students and we decide together, we guide the students actually to find out the exact place that maybe could help his or her own academic and professional formation. It can be, as I said, an NGO, it can be a political party, it can be any governmental organ or any institution of the state. But at the end of the day, you need to talk with the student to find out actually what she or he wanted to use skills for the further professions.
Definitely, it's very nice to know that there is this guidance and assistance being provided as well. So it's, as you're mentioning, the next step after such guidance or after completing summer training is to have an insight into your professional life beyond the university. So maybe now we can dig in more into that when it comes to job opportunities. You did mention a few times now about some of the places where students who graduate from political science, they can get placement in, but can we maybe dig more into that? How maybe can they transition from the period where they have graduated to now they are looking for jobs in such sectors? What advice do you have for such students?
Good question. Because in most of the disciplines that students, they graduate, actually it could be easier, for example, to write that either you're an engineer or a chemist. At least, people, they can know in which area you have the expertise. But when it comes to the political science, not all the graduates will be politicians, for instance, because from the beginning, most people may think in that way, that there is no actually a specific a school that all the politicians, for instance, they go. But the political science, as I just mentioned, is actually a discipline which is also working hand in hand with other disciplines at the same time, because it's all about the life that we live in. For example, politics is actually everywhere. And then, from the health policy to education policy, from, as I just mentioned in the beginning of the session, that the COVID-19, it's also related with politics and how the government will respond to these kind of crises. So in that respect, when the students, they graduate from political science department, actually they will start to think about, when they become fourth year, after taking the elective courses at the same time and also the math courses, they will going to have such kind of an understanding about their future. They will start to have prognosis for the future, that, okay, I will use my skills in this area. This could be, as I just mentioned, you can stay as an academic, you can continue your academic career, but you can also start working in government institutions, because political scientists, they have this expertise, theoretically and practically, to work in a governmental institution or any state institution, as I just mentioned, or NGOs, local, regional, or international, because they need political analysts. They can also work in the public relations departments of any firm or company or any institution, public, private. I also know that so many other graduates from this department, they also work in different entities like political parties and etc. So, because it will not just going to give you the idea that you will going to run the government, or just you will going to work in the parliament. No, it will also going to provide you different skills. You will also going to also learn about international security, not just state institutions. You will also going to learn about European politics, for instance. You will also going to learn about interest groups and lobbying, which is, I think, one of the main courses of the department. Public finance. So you will also going to know how you can run these kind of issues, and you will also going to, take courses with respect to public administration, which makes political science actually different from the other disciplines, because you know how to deal with good governance at the same time. In that respect, I said that political science and public administration, they're at the same time sisters, because some of the courses that the students, they take in these departments are very similar. So another example, before I forget, is probably the municipalities. The local governance is one of the most dynamic issue in our world these days, because we started to discuss decentralization, which means that we started to also have discussions politically and academically, to what extent the local, let's say, the local administrations or the municipalities, to what extent they can have autonomy. So we need also people having expertise in these particular areas, that they could work for, let's say, better life standards and better governance. So governance is a very important, I think, word that I can also use for political science. And when they graduate, anything that can be, related with governance, they have this expertise and skills to actually, implement, put into force.
Mm-hmm. Thank you once again. I think this was a very, very impressive advocacy of political science as a field, and also where it can take you after your graduation when you want to enter the job market, for example. And indeed, we can understand from what you have told us that it is not something very constricted. It is something that actually it opens a growing path when it comes to job opportunities and further development when it comes to someone's employment. So that's very nice as well. Thank you once again. So maybe now we can talk about, okay, we have talked about students who have graduated and now they want to start working. But can they, those alumni students, we see them, we see many of them here right now, but can those students who have graduated, do they have the opportunity to reach back to you, even if they have no link with the faculty or the department anymore?
We have actually also, we organized different activities through the help of course, our university, and we have organic link with the graduates. But at the same time, as you just mentioned, we also have, let's say, individual connections. I'm very happy to say that most of our graduates, when they find a job, when they get married, they actually let us know. They also invite us to their weddings. When they have babies, they also let us to know, because as I just said, after 4 years, you actually become a family member with them. So happy to hear that. I mean, they found jobs, they have very good careers, and very importantly, what they learn here, what they learn from us, and also the time that they spent in Cyprus, they remember it with good memories, which is, I think, really, I mean, touching our hearts.
Definitely, that's a beautiful. It's a beautiful explanation of the type of relationships and the type of connections that is kept with students even after they have graduated. That's very nice to see, and I think it's a very beautiful thing to look up to for those who are yet to come to us. I believe.
And we have also this, I think, the opportunity also to work with them, because some of our graduates are also working with us, either as an assistant, or they are working in different, organs, branches of our university. For instance, having this session with you, Shaima, is also another proud of us.
Exactly, definitely. Thank you so much. Actually, the pleasure is mine, because we are. It's like we are showcasing an example of what is being discussed right there, live right now. So, it's thank you so much for having gone through the growth what that was provided to me by the faculty, and still growing through it, and at the same time being able to be a nearest official and give out at the same time of receiving out input from the university. It's such a great honor, and it shows that the university is not providing only the normative, if I may say, the normative molds whereby students have to just fit in and follow until they graduate for so many years, and then they are not really expanded in all these ways. So I think the pleasure is very, very mutual here, dear professor. So we have talked about those students who have graduated. What about the postgraduate studies? We did talk about graduate students. So those graduates, maybe they graduated from the undergraduate program, or maybe the master's program, or the PhD program. But let's put ourselves in the perspective of someone who has just graduated from the undergraduate program. What are the advantages of pursuing a postgraduate program? Should they do it? If they do it, with what mentality or what mindset they should do it? And in this regard, what does nearest university provide? What does the faculty, the Department of Political Science, like you mentioned, what can they expect from the faculty in this regard?
Well, it's actually a very important question, critical question. When we talk about the postgraduate studies, I need to mention master's program and the PhD programs actually differently. Because now we are in 2020, and master's degrees in certain areas are actually necessary to have expertise and to be specialized on that particular matter, like MBA, for instance, the Masters of Business Administration or Human Resource Management. What comes to my mind, marketing, international marketing, international relations. These master's programs are really working in terms of giving the students, the candidates, the theoretical and also the empirical formation. Because some of the leading firms, some of the leading, let's say, international institutions, they actually have well organized, well structured, for instance, human resource departments. So in order to have, how can I explain, a long-term policy, in order to actually have well-structured and well-equipped capacity to deal with anything that the firm, let's say, or the institution faces, you actually need expertise. You need specialized people. So master's programs, on the one hand, they actually work for this, in order to fill the gap in the market, in the particular industry. So I really recommend for those people, for those undergraduate graduates, let's say, that they're interested in enrolling any master's program, because if you have more expertise, you will also going to contribute to your institution better. But there is also another, let's say, side of the coin. You want to become an academic, and in order to become an academic and in order to contribute to the field, you should also do masters and also PhD. And basically, PhD is absolutely an academic career that, when I think about political science and international relations PhD program, I can see actually two different profiles that we have in our PhD program. One group of the candidates, they are from the beginning, they're thinking to become academics, and they will be, teaching in university, either in their countries or worldwide. The other profile of the PhD students in political science and international relations program is, you may actually from the government, or you want to work as an, let's say, senior member for the government or the state. So you need to also actually improve your academic skills. So PhD also works for these, people who wants to also have more expertise about politics. For instance, I remember that we also, one of our students, they were from the State Department from Azerbaijan. And also we had one student from Jordan, that he worked for the government, but now he wants to become, an expertise. And in order to have that, to fulfill that particular position, he needs to have a PhD, because PhD, as I just said, is not just for academics, but for those people who also want to improve their academic and theoretical thinking about that particular topic, because PhD means you will going to have an expertise on a particular topic, and you will be an expert of that topic. No matter how, you will know that topic, because you know the literature, you will going to conduct the research, either qualitative or quantitative or mixed method, and you know how to deal with that particular issue. I don't know if I'm clear in that. So you become one of the, let's say, specialized person in that particular field. So for those people who are thinking about PhD, should have these two, either one or the second motivation to start, because I need to say that PhD, which is philosophy of doctorate, is actually a high demanding program. Masters as well, but I need to say that PhD is really a high demanding program. And then students, they first take their courses, 7 courses and also seminar, and then they need to also fulfill the PhD qualification exam. Then they need to also attend thesis monitoring committees before they graduate. And as the policy of university and as the policy of North Cyprus, we also would like to ask the PhD candidates to also publish their works in certain prestigious journals, which also can show that this candidate is actually ready to finalize his or her own PhD program. So in that respect, undergraduate, masters, and the PhD programs are actually different from one another. and the motivation behind is very, I think, important.
Definitely. Thank you once again. And I think that this answer was very, very realistic, which is really needed when it comes to such questions, for example, because our prospective students, once they, when they are watching us, I think they look forward to having realistic answers, whereby they can plan ahead what they are expecting from the faculty, what is expected from them, and also what is demanded from them. So I think you put it very, very nicely and very clearly in your answer. And I hope that prospective students they will gather what is required and choose to come here to study or to pursue their postgraduate studies at nearest university. I would also like to mention that even that I'm a representative of the international students office. So those requirements that you're mentioning about, or what is demanded from them when it comes to the publications, for example, it is mentioned. It is mentioned upon the point where they are applying itself. So from the very first point when they're applying at the international office, they are told and they are made aware of those requirements, whether it's for master's students or for PhD students. So rest assured that you can get. I'm addressing myself to the prospective students. You can get the required information prior to joining the university when it comes to the requirements, etc. So it's not very difficult for you to get the information. You can just contact the university, and I will mention about the application procedures later on before ending this session. So I just wanted to add this as a disclaimer out there. So thank you again for your yet other very, very instructive answer. One other question, or one other important point, if I may say, and it's quite crucial because, like you mentioned before, we have a huge chunk of our students being foreigners. You mentioned that we have a lot of students coming from the African region, but we also have a lot of students coming from all over the world. So given that we have so many foreign students, accreditation of our programs and diploma becomes a very big question. Can you maybe very briefly shed some light on the accreditation aspect?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very actually happy to say that all our programs are accredited by Turkish Higher Education Council, which is actually called YÖK, and then all our programs actually have international recognition. And maybe I need to also say that our faculty is also accredited by other international institutions, like all other faculties, because each accreditation institution is specialized on, certain disciplines, academic disciplines, and our faculty is also accredited. Some of, let's say, the departments. I remember our dean also mentioned about them. They are either accredited by FIBA, which is an international accreditation institution that accredited banking and finance, international relations, economics, business administration departments, and also we have ASIN, which is another institution, accreditation institution that accredited the computer information systems department, and all other departments are also working for acquiring in different international accreditations. So, but I can definitely say that there is no any obstacle in front of accreditation of the university. I'm very happy to say that most of our graduates, we know, they are either working in different universities, or they are working in their countries or in different parts of the world without facing any problem. From the United States to Czech Republic, to Sweden, to Palestine, I can definitely say that to Nigeria, Zimbabwe, we have so many graduates that they are working.
Definitely. Thank you so much. So it's safe to say then that when students are choosing this particular program under this particular faculty, they do not need to be scared of any hurdles once they are making the decision, because that's where many students they have the enthusiasm, they have the interest for the program, they have whatever is needed to choose that particular program, but then they become reluctant just because of accreditation, or maybe because of a lack of information about accreditation. So it's very important, and it's very nice for them to hear this, I believe. And we have one of our viewers right now who is actually adding to the list of the African region, and he's confirming that they can also go and work
to Kenya as well, yeah.
As well. So thank you, dear viewer. It's very nice to actually see this, that we have viewers who are confirming and affirming what is being said right now, making this a more fruitful session, if I may say. So before we are actually nearing the end of this session, but let's tackle the bigger question, the biggest question, if we may say, when it comes to this current situation. We are all hearing about the COVID-19 pandemic. We are now living in a brand new world, which we have been forced to acknowledge and get accustomed to. So you did mention that, yes, we have had to, Nearest University actually is kind of leading when it comes to the adaptation of education, when it comes to online education, because everything has shifted. So what can you say particularly about the Faculty of Economics and Administrative Sciences, or even more specifically about the Department of Political Science? How did it go? How did this transition go? Was it a smooth one? What have you particularly done as someone of your expertise and your position? And also, maybe if we can get some feedback about what the students have said about this. Are they satisfied? Have they been successful in their adaptation?
Very good question, because nobody actually expected such kind of a pandemic to emerge. And if I may say, it seems like that our lives will also change, not going to stay as before. But I'm very happy to say that, I mean, North Cyprus in this respect is now going back to normal gradually, and happy to say that we actually cope with this crisis. And hope that it's going to actually be over soon worldwide, because this is not just in the hands of us, but all the actually governments should work together hand in hand to deal with such a kind of a global actually crisis. In terms of our faculty and our department, well, I need to say that in the beginning, some students, they had certain concerns that I remember it was, the 10th of March that there was a decision by the Minister of Education, and all the universities needs to actually evacuate, and we started to actually work we started to work via digital platforms. Some students, they had certain concerns. They were emailing us, they're trying to reach us, asking about how this process is going to be conducted. In 2 weeks' time, I can say, honestly, frankly speaking, everything was actually smoothly fixed and arranged. I think this was also the infrastructure that our university has, because the Innovation Center, the Distance Learning Center, they work very hard, and in a very short period of time, all our courses were on actually model, and then we had the chance to have online courses with our students. So I can see them, they can see me, we can talk with one another. So as I said, I can definitely say that it was maybe just for a couple of days there was such kind of concerns, and I can definitely understand these students, because if I also were in their situation, I would be also having certain question marks. And then whether they will be going to graduate, because some of these students who are having concerns, they were also the students that they were about to graduate by the end of the spring semester. So we explained them how we were going to conduct spring semester. We were also, of course, coordinating this with the Minister of Education, YÖDAK, and of course the Turkish Higher Education Council. And I think we did our best during this process. And I had, for instance, yesterday, so many messages that students, they also entered the final examinations, or they submitted their assignments and they started to learn, their grades and scores. And they were saying that thank you very much for what you have already done for all of us, because now we will going to graduate, despite the fact that there was a pandemic, in the world. So this is also very important, to work during crisis, Shema. You can definitely work in tandem, in harmony, mostly during the good times. But the most important thing, how you also cope with the crisis, and to what extent you can do crisis management. I think as the nearest university, with all academics, I need to say that we were all in touch with our colleagues, our department members. We were calling each other. We were having online, meetings. And then I think we sorted out. We worked very hard, but at the end of the day, we finalized the spring semester in a very well structured and well equipped way, I think. So I need to also thank to all my colleagues who work with us in harmony, without saying, without providing, let's say, any obstacle. They all actually join us, and with our students, we just come to this, stage that we are finalizing this spring semester.
Definitely.
So hoping the best for the whole world, because as I said, in order to fight with these kind of crises, the world should work together. And then another important point is probably from the political, let's say, perspective. I would say that we also had different crises in the world, in the history, but we took lessons. I think what we also do with respect to the COVID-19 pandemic is we should take lessons. What are the certain things that actually we can, I'm talking about as a general, I'm talking about as the world, citizens, what we need to do. Is there any missing, things that we missed? Is there anything else that maybe we can improve? I think this was an opportunity for us, that we should take lessons, and we should prepare ourselves for any kind of extraordinary circumstances at the same time.
Thank you so much. Actually, you addressed not only students, but you also took the time to thank your fellow colleagues, which I believe that is a very very honorable thing that you guys did, because cooperation amongst colleagues has been at the very core of this of overcoming such a pandemic and such a transition. Like you mentioned, it's not easy for anyone, be it the students, be it the professor, the lecturers, the faculty members, as well as, for example, us. I can speak for myself and my team members at the international office. But at the very essence of it, like you beautifully put, the readiness and the willingness to adapt and progress and conquer is what should be at the very basis. This is how we are going to adapt, and how we are going to achieve, maybe in a different way, definitely in a different way, in an unexpected way, yes, but definitely we still have to achieve. We still have to reach for our goals, and we still have to move forward. Actually, this program is one initiative that adopts such an ideology, if I may say, because the aim here is to keep connected. Yes, the borders are closed. Yes, students cannot physically move to come to the university. Yes, maybe they cannot go and meet with the professors and get the information. But look, we have adapted and we are moving forward through such a platform. And I think it's something to really be proud of when it comes to nearest university at large. So thank you so much. One last question. It's been a very long and a very fruitful session, but unfortunately we have to bring it to an end. So just to ask one last question, what would your advice be to those students who are now, maybe they are interested in political science, or they are thinking about university for a particular department under the Faculty of Economics and Administrative Sciences? What would your advice in general be? for such an audience?
Yes. By the way, you also summarize perfectly in your last two sentences how we also cope with this crisis and also adapted to these new changing circumstances. Um, I mean, in general, when the students or the candidates they apply to the university, they may not actually because they are so young. But they have, of course, a certain idea in their minds, and they would like to, for example, enroll political science department or public administration department. They need to ask to themselves, actually, that whether they want this department full-heartedly. Why I'm saying this is I always recommend, it's a humble suggestion to my students that always try your best. Of course, it depends on the circumstances, I know, but try your always best to study in a department that you really want to study, and also work in an institution or in a profession that you really willingly want to work. Because your work or your department or your studies will be part of your life, and every day you will live with that profession or the discipline. So I highly recommend, if you are thinking to study political science, ask yourself, do you like to talk about politics? Do you like to follow news? Do you like to read, let's say, different broadcasting corporations worldwide? Would you like to discuss the issues like, the political implications of COVID-19, the global governance, role of UN, the role of the, let's say, African Union, or let's say Russia in Middle East? So ask yourself whether you are happy when you are talking about these things, and if you have any curiosity about the future of the world, for instance, human rights, freedom. What about, let's say, famine or underdevelopment? Are you interested in these, problems that the world face? You may say yes, but at the same time, you need to be enthusiastic to study in that particular field. What is the good side of the coin is in the first year, let's say you started to enroll political science department, but then you realize that you are more willing to study international relations. It's actually not very difficult to switch from political science to public administration, or from public administration to IR, because as I just said, we are relatives. So when you also enroll the department, you will also going to have the chance to switch if there is if it is necessary. Of course, we are also talking with the students to discuss and to find out the right way actually to implement. So, but as I said from the beginning, motivation is very important. Try your best to actually study and work, let's say, with the area that you're really willing to work. And I'm always hoping the best for all the prospective and also the current students, and looking forward to see each other face to face coming soon.
Definitely. Thank you so much for your last note. I think it was the best and it was the perfect way to end this session on such an amazing note. And I hope that your message and your pieces of advice are going to go directly to our prospective students, and also those current students who, like you mentioned, they still have the chance to make a shift, a change. So I hope that your pieces of advice have reached them successfully. And yes, we see now there is a proposal, a suggestion actually, from one of our viewers, Mr. Bryant, who is saying that maybe we should think about organizing a Zoom meeting with some of the graduates, the alumni of the Graduate School of Social Sciences, to share about their experiences. I think this is a very good thing to think about. Yes, dear viewer, we might, why not? We might come together, the international office and the platform, who is hosting this program, we might come together with the department or the graduate school in question and then create such a program. Why not? Thank you so much for your input. So I think we have reached the end of this session, sadly, but I hope that we are going to see each other again for a very pleasant session, for another pleasant session, dear Professor. So if you want to add anything else, you may. Otherwise, I think we will go on with the outro.
Okay, thank you very much, Shema. Thank for your kind invitation and all the organizers, the international office. And I would like to also greet all the students who joined us today, because without them, it's not going to be, that much lively. All the undergraduate, masters, and the PhD students, I saw them actually one by one. I'm happy also to see them here, because some of them, they were also the graduates, by the way, and some of them, they are our current students. I'm greeting all of you and hoping to see you soon. All the best. Thank you very much.
Definitely, dear Professor. Thank you so much. The pleasure is shared one more time. And once again, before ending, before allowing you to leave the platform, thank you so much for having accepted our invitation, and we hope to see you soon.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
So we have reached the end of today's session, and it was a very fruitful session, I believe. We had the opportunity to have our dear Associate Professor Dr. Nur KÖPRÜLÜ from the Political Science Department, actually the head of the Political Science Department. And we hope to see her soon. Until then, I'm going to shed some light on how to apply to the university. It's not very difficult, guys. You can just go online and send an email to the email address that will appear right now on the screen, info@neu.edu.tr. I repeat, info@neu.edu.tr. Whatever query you have or whatever question you have, or if you want to send your documents or apply directly, just send an email to the email address, and the officer is going to assist you accordingly. I would like to also mention that we have our postgraduate scholarship application period that is currently open. So all prospective students for master's programs with thesis and PhD programs are free to apply at the same email address and send their application, and they will be helped through. So guys, before ending, I would like to just remind you to check our social media, our Facebook page, as well as our Instagram page to see the next programs. As you know, we have weekly programs, an estimation of 3 programs of 3 sessions per week. So I can tell you that the next program for this week is on Friday. If you want, just take note right now. Otherwise, follow it on social media. It was Shaima from Nearest University. It was very nice to have such an amazing audience today. Until next time, don't forget, let's be connected.